Stephen, he saw a knife at the scene. Before anyone else knew, Dinah had been stabbed.
The state's position was the only way he would know about the knife is if he had stabbed her.
Is it possible when Jim Ross saw her, she was on her stomach and then turned herself over? No. They said something about where she might have been leaning against and then, fell to the side. But I don't think they ever testified that she actually turned herself over. Prosecutors also argued that Ross' crush on Dinah had a disturbing, sinister side. You remember seeing that? The boy Ross Rickman back in 1975 also testified. His family became a centerpiece of the prosecution's case.
That was like Eric and Jimmy. Eric said to him, "Better not hope you all get my father. I'll tell my father on you." And Jim Ross got upset. "Better not tell your father." And he said, I've killed one girl, and I can kill again."
There was a gasp in the courtroom when Eric Hansen testified to that.
But decades later, when Jim Roth was in the courtroom, he basically wrote that off.
Believe that. Groff never testified during the trial, but the man first arrested for Dinah's murder did. Tim Dinah, now in the last stages of his battle with cancer, was too weak to travel, so his testimony, videotaped earlier, was played in court.
What did you do the rest of that night?
Hello?
Hey. Hi everybody. Hi Gaia.
Hello?
Hi,
Hi Gabriel.
Sophie and
Hi
Jimmy.
Angelica. Can't see anybody yet, but I could.
Hello.
You all have no... Oh, yeah.
Ah,
You
now
all have no video. Where's your video?
here we go. Let me work it out.
Hi, Angelica. Hello.
Hi.
Astrid. Hi.
Hi.
View option. Ah, there we go. Oh dear. After all this time, I'm still getting used to the video. Ah, there we go. Hi Astrid. Hiya. Hi Ruby. Hi Angelica.
Oh, the slides are gone. Where are the slides?
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, everybody.
Hi Gabriel.
Oh, it's been so long. Good to see you all.
Yes, indeed.
It is.
Been a great weekend so far.
No, we can't. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I was saying hi to myself on like 10.
Hi Asher.
Hello.
Hi, Ashen.
Oh, she's gone again.
Can you guys hear me now?
There we go.
Yeah, now you're there.
Lovely
Wait,
music.
my mic's moving, so that means that it's working. Okay, cool. I did my own sound checker. All right, so everybody, if you could say your last highs, hellos, and mute yourselves. I think it's better if you guys mute yourselves. That way I'm not like silencing anybody. So just prepare to get into meditation, mute yourself so that your background noise and stuff doesn't distract anyone for the
Sure.
meditation. As I was explaining to myself, apparently, we're going to be doing a short meditation on the 12 chakra systems and manifesting. With this meditation, usually we do like longer meditations, but this one is going to be just a short one. Everybody is muted. Okay. Awesome. Okay, we're going to start. So, if everybody could find themselves in a space of relaxation, affirming in your mind that you are safe, breathing in to the body, feeling into the body, allowing yourself to be carried deeper into the body on each in-breath, and allowing yourself to release to the universe on each exhale, breathing in deeply and exhaling. Breathing in deeply and exhaling. Allow all of your worries, allow all of your stress to be put aside for this moment. This moment right here is yours and no one else's. This moment right here is ours together. In this meditation, we are preparing our energy, for we are all connecting on the earth consciousness grid in the astral, right here, right now. And it is important that each and every one of us feels prepared for this energy to direct us the way that is best suited for us in this meeting together. I want you all to again take yourself to your favorite place on earth. I want you to go to your favorite place on the entire earth. And I want you to connect specifically with the soil of the earth. I want you to feel into the energy of your Earth Star chakra, which is about 1 meter or so underneath the soil of the earth. It is an extension of your auric body, of your energetic body. It is an extension of you, but it is not on the physical body. Our entrance to the Earth Star on the physical body can be found in the middle and underneath the feet. Allow yourself to shake up your shoulders or neck if you are stressed or tense. Again, affirming in your mind that you are safe. I want you to connect to the Earth's heart chakra and literally feel yourself from your heart chakra to hers, sending love and connecting love. I want you to feel yourself surrounded by nature in the most beautiful way, whether you are in front of a fire or a lake in your mind. Again, allowing yourself to grow roots from the bottom of your feet into the earth. We are going to ground and to connect with the earth for the beginning of this meditation. Please do this now. Connect with the earth in any way that feels right to you without my voice guiding you for one moment. Connect to your heart, connect to your space of feeling, connect to your emotional body, connect to the I am, connect to your power, and specifically connect to the power of the earth and your connection with the earth between child and mother. Allow yourself to affirm in your mind, I am important, I am significant, I am worthy, because I live, because I breathe, because I am a gift to this world. And it is okay if you do not always feel this inherent truth within you. But right now, right here, allow yourself to be taken back to this truth, the truth of your own divine sovereignty, the truth of your higher self, the truth of your greatest version, which is you in all your beauty when your mind is not getting in the way. This connection with the earth is not just about the earth. It is about your connection with the earth as the child. It is the connection between child and earth. Normally when people talk about manifestation, they talk about manifesting with our emotions, or our mind, or our body. But today we are going to manifest from our earth self, our earth plane self, and we're going to bring it up all the way up into the higher chakra levels. We're going to bring our desires into our soul star. Our soul star is the first chakra after the crown chakra that connects to our higher self. This is the seed of our soul, where all of our soul's desires go. So doesn't it make sense to involve our soul star chakra in the desires of our heart, in the desires of manifestation? This is what we are going to do today, is we are going to send our manifestation into our soul star to be received by our higher self, to be received by our higher chakras. We are accessing in our manifestation not just the power of angels and guides, we are accessing our own greater power, our own higher power, our higher dimensional power. And we are doing so from the standpoint of reality, of being on Earth. I want you to see your favorite totem animal walking in your space right now. I want you to connect with your most favorite offerings of the earth, whether it be plant life or a specific flower. Feeling the soil under your feet, feeling the connection between soil and flesh, feeling your body as an extension of the earth, a gift from the earth, and a gift for the earth. That this is your gift because you are the earth. That your life is a gift because you are the universe. And your life is a gift to you and to the universe in everything that you are. The universe and Mother Earth love you unconditionally. Father Sky, Father Sun, whatever you want to call it, the cosmos, they are always loving you unconditionally. There's never anything that they consider to be bad or good. They're not on that level of thought. They're on a level of unconditional love. No matter what we do, they understand that this is our learning experience and that it is happening exactly as it is meant to. And it can be hurtful sometimes to tune into this universal truth because it can become invalidating. But right now, I ask you to connect to this unconditional love in this moment and to make it okay in this moment, to just feel the unconditional love of the earth and the sky always, always supporting you, always holding you. Feeling into a genuine love for yourself, I want you to think of that thing that you are trying to manifest right now. It might be something that you already have and that you're trying to build it larger and more beautiful, more expansive. It might be something that you don't even know what it is, or you just have an essence of it to work with. You're not really sure what it looks like, you just know how you want to feel when you have that. It doesn't matter what your desires are, because right now I'm giving you permission to have those desires. And you don't need that permission from me. But sometimes with permission from others for this, we can let loose the lack of permission we are giving ourselves. So it's also time to give yourself permission to honor this, to be a part of this. I want you to think of your most beautiful desire. I want you to think of a desire that is important to your heart. Knowing that any desire that is important to you is okay to have. It's okay that you want it. That is enough. To want it is enough. You don't have to have permission to want it. You don't have to have anybody telling you to want it or not want it. All you have to do is allow yourself to have it. And the first step to allowing yourself to have something is to give yourself permission. I want you to give yourself permission to have whatever it is that you want. Letting go of the hows or the whys. We are going to talk more about manifestation and taking action. But right now, we are just allowing the universe to hear our desire and sending it into the universe. Giving ourselves permission to have this. I'm going to give you a moment without my voice guiding you to connect with this desire that you are holding in your heart. And I want you to connect with the essence of this desire. What does it feel like to have it? What would it feel like to already have it? Now it is time to involve the earth in this desire. The earth is ready to receive your desire. And by receiving your desire into her soil, by receiving your essence of this desire in a ball of energy, she will be helping you to build the energy around this desire that is yours. And she will be putting earth grounding energy into this desire. I want you to send this essence of desire to the earth to receive in her heart. And by allowing the earth to receive this desire in her heart, you are making your desire okay, but you are also involving someone else to tell you that you can have this, and that they're going to help you do it as well. You're asking Mother Earth, please Work with me on this. I'm ready. I'm ready for this. And if you truly are ready to let yourself have this experience or this thing, she will help you and she will be there for you, no matter what. Sending this desire into the soil and allowing Mother Earth to receive it. She sends you back her energy of promise. This promise says that I will help you in any way that you allow me to. That I will show up in undescribable magical ways that you would never have expected. This is a promise that she is making to you, that she is there for you. I want you to feel into your Earth Star chakra where this energy has just come. And you're going to start by rising this energy and desire from the earth that you have sent. This desire that you sent to the earth, you're allowing the essence to rise. Starting in the root chakra, you can feel the red energy. You can feel the essence of safety. Rising this desire up into the sacral chakra. You can feel this orange energy. Like a ripe orange, like sunset. Rising your desire up into your belly, into your sense of power, into your sense of now. And giving yourself permission. I am allowed to have this. Who says I can't have this? Who says this can't be mine? And it's really time for me to stop listening to them. Because it's just not fair. It's not okay for them to stop me from being who I want to be. Rising this desire up into our hearts, our connection to the entire universe, into our anahata, this green energy erupting from your chest like the color of spring leaves. Allowing this desire to rise up into your throat chakra and the color of blue skies burst from your throat. Rising this desire up into the third eye, the all-knowing. This is your place of intuition that says, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to release the how, and I'm going to release the when, and I'm going to say that it will happen. And I will let the universe guide me in any way that it needs to. This is not giving up. By saying I will let the universe lead me and surrendering to the universe, this is not giving up. This is allowing yourself to take divine action and intuitive action. This is allowing yourself to make movement towards your desires based on the universe's guidance, based on Mother Earth's guidance. Mother Earth can send you gifts and symbols and things too. And even though she is a part of the universe, sometimes it's nice to recognize it as her doing and her beauty. Rising this desire up into your crown chakra, feeling yourself connecting with the cosmos, with the stars, with the sun, with your angels and guides, and allowing yourself to send this desire up into the soul star chakra, where it is received by your higher self. Your soul star chakra is a beautiful pearl color. See this white light now. You're sending this desire up into this white light, which is your soul star, which is your essence. Feel it received by your higher self. Feel your desire received and accepted by the universe. Moving your desire up into your spiritual chakra, as they call it. Seeing a beautiful grapefruit color. Sending your desire up into the universal chakra. Seeing a beautiful teal turquoise color. And allowing your desire to rise even higher into the galactic chakra. Which is a beautiful gold. And then rising it all the way up into the divine gateway chakra. This is you sending your desire directly to your higher self. Your higher self receives your desire, and your higher self lets you know that all aspects of you are working with you towards this desire, that you have never been alone in this desire, that you have never been unworthy of this desire, and that the time of intervention in between you gaining this desire has always been as it should be. Please take a moment to take yourself back into the present mind, and we will begin our class shortly. Yeah, sorry guys, I was just taking one moment to start. Okay, perfect. Okay. Hey everybody. So the first thing that I wanted to put in this group meeting is a quote from General Melchizedek. Since this heart space program is literally based off of the work that I've done with him, and everything has been done and expressed in my own way, but he was really the leader that sparked my interest in the heart space, and he was the one who first led me to the heart space through his work. The quote is, "As long as the mind and the ego control the direction of creating, there will always be problems in the outer world, for the ego thinks only of itself and lives in duality. But when the heart is in control, everything comes back to balance, for the heart feels and knows only the oneness of life." Turnbull, lucky stick. So, I think that that's a beautiful quote. And I also wanted to say that as much as that is true, as much as that quote is true, I find that it's really important that we don't isolate the mind in the idea of entering the heart space. We're not saying get rid of the mind. We're not saying the mind is not good. No, the mind is amazing. It can be a beautiful tool. I mean, we wouldn't have our minds if it was something that wasn't amazing in the first place. But the problem is the heart was originally in the literal process of our creation. The heart space was literally supposed to be our place of being in control, of being in charge. So coming back to the heart space and letting it become in control, and then working with the mind. When the mind is in control and you're not in control of the heart space, the problem is you feel all alone. The problem is you feel alone within yourself, and that's never good, right? Okay. So I wanted to put a quote from Nikola Tesla that I'm sure pretty much everybody is familiar with, because that's exactly what we're gonna fucking talk about right now, is the idea that everything is vibration. This is something that literally came to me this morning. It wasn't supposed to, obviously it was meant to be a part of the content, but it's like it wasn't pre-planned. Sometimes these things just come to me in a download. So what was needed to be talked about today is the idea that everything is vibration, everything is energy. And what I specifically wanted to bring into that is you can change your life if you understand this. You can change what you're manifesting. We are always manifesting. Every second of the day, we are manifesting. We're manifesting this group chat. We're manifesting this group program. We're manifesting the way I've run it. I've manifested the way that you guys are working in it. And sometimes it can be invalidating to understand that everything is a manifestation, because then we say things like, oh, but does that mean that my personal experience is not valid? No, it's the and consciousness. My personal experience is valid, and the fact that I'm creating this experience and I am in charge of this experience is also valid on a universal level. This is why teachers constantly contradict each other, because there's the and consciousness, where sometimes certain teachers are teaching to a lower level of consciousness or a lower vibration or a lower, and it doesn't mean that it's good or bad. When we say lower, higher, good, bad, it's like this is our time-space reality. It's the way that we can identify certain things. But it doesn't mean that anything in reality on a universal level is actually good or bad. we use it as a guidance mechanism to lead us. So what I wanted to bring in today is how you can always prepare your energy. So, for example, when I got into this call, I was like, okay, I need to prepare my energy today. What will you have me do? I ask the universe to move through me. What will you have me do? I need to prepare my energy for this call. And what came up today was chanting. And so the chants that I've had you guys do, I was doing for myself, and just allowing the different centers of my body to receive those sound was super powerful, and it changed my entire vibration. Before that, I was more like tense and stressed, and I was really prepared for the workshop, but my mind wasn't in it. There was a part of my mind that was focused on other things. There was a part of my mind that wasn't ready to put its feet down. So I asked it to put its feet down in a very specific way. So I asked myself, how can I get rid of this? And it's not to get rid of it as if it's bad or wrong or anything like that. It's just, how can I integrate this so this doesn't have to rule my day, rule my lesson? And I always prepare for you guys beyond the content. I prepare my physical energy to be here always. So sometimes it will be, okay, I have to do this meditation. Sometimes it will be, okay, I have to just lie down for 10 minutes and channel and be with the angelic realms and be with the earth. It's always different. And today, my guides asked me to go deeper into my body. And through going deeper into my body, I did that with sound. So everything is vibration, and what you're choosing to bring into your life is super important. So every vibration that you bring into your life can change your energy direction. So for example, the vibration of wood can ground you. There's a certain type of wood or bamboo that when played on the flute, Native Americans do this, when played on the flute, it can actually relieve a headache. Or that's where plant medicine comes in, where certain plants have a vibration that can do certain things, that can achieve certain things. You can choose water. So cold water is really insane to get your mind focused. Either cold or hot water in the shower brings you completely into your body. So by doing different things, whether it's meditation, whether it's chanting, specifically today, I wanted to focus on sound vibration, because sound vibration is pretty much, so light vibration is the highest to our auric field, to our higher self. It is the lightest vibration on this physical dimension. Sound is the next one after that one. Sound is the next densest vibration after light. So it's actually pretty freaking high up and pure. So by using sound to heal your body, to create certain things within your body, you can change your physical energy and how it's prepared. Or for example, as I was saying, you can use cold water to get you into your body or to get your mind ready. Hot water sometimes, the difference between cold and hot water. You can use Mother Nature. You can go into the sunlight. You can go into Mother Nature for a second. Whatever it is that you need to do to prepare yourself and direct your energy and flow. So I think that quote from Nikola Tesla is pretty fucking beautiful, pretty epic, really. So the next thing I wanted to talk about with you guys is Nassim Haramein. So in the chat box, has anyone heard of Nassim Haramein and his work? I want to know who's heard of him. Okay. So, okay. So I'll give you guys a quick, not even who he is, but just really why I wanted to bring him into this lesson today. So Nassim Haramein was born in Switzerland, And he essentially went through this whole life experience that led him to always think outside the box. He always wanted to be a scientist. He always wanted to study physics and the way the world worked. He always wanted to ask questions that were bigger. And when he went to school and he heard things like, you're just this planet moving in the solar system amongst, how many other planets in billions and billions and billions of just space, pure space, and that's it, that's all, and you have no purpose, nothing. When he heard people teaching this in school, he was like, no, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it for 1 second. And I think that there's so much more to life than that. And so he dedicated his entire life to looking into things on a scientific level from what I consider science meets spirituality. So why I wanted to bring this in is because you guys have heard me talk about the toroidal field a lot. Now, the toroidal field literally looks like this example picture that we're looking at right now on the PowerPoint. As you can see, there's one energy feeding into the other energy, which is moving around itself to bring it back into the middle in the center. In the center, you can see how the very center of the vortex of this black hole, this toroidal field energy, is moving in spirals. So Nassim has a couple of scientific theories, and I'm not going to tell you that they're right or wrong. To me, I feel that they're in alignment with everything I know on an intuitive level, on a spiritual level. There's a lot of controversy about the work that he's done and the proof that he's given for his examples, but I do want to bring it in because I do highly believe in his work, and I'm not telling you guys that you have to form an opinion a certain way or not, just to be open to the information that I'll present to you about him and about the information that he presents as well. So the reason I wanted to bring this in is I wanted to give you guys a bigger understanding of what a toroidal field is, how that affects us. So the way I see things and the way that his teachings go is that everything is a point. So if you can look at the flower of life, every dot on the flower of life has a point of vortex where it started, right? So think of your physical reality as one point on that flower of life, and then the physical reality of the collective human race as the next dot up. And then the physical reality, the reality of outer space and of the cosmos as the next point up, as the next reality up. So every time you're expanding and getting bigger, you're going to the next level of reality, the next level of vortex. So then you look at the entire Earth, and that's one big vortex. Then you look at our entire solar system, and that's one big vortex. Then you look at the entire Milky Way, and you say that's one big vortex. So we are vortexes within vortexes. That is our reality. That is why you can manifest certain things and be on the vibration to receive certain things, and be on the vibration to receive, let's say, someone standing next to you, but your points of reception, even though you're perceiving each other, you might not be perceiving the exact same things. So, for example, sometimes you hear stories of certain people seeing an alien spaceship, and there's someone standing right next to them and they don't see that. Or, for instance, a story that I've heard about is there was these two people trying to manifest seeing a banana, and both people were in the room, and one person was in alignment with the manifestation and the other person wasn't. And even though there was a guy waving a banana around in the same office room, only one person saw it. Even though they were both attempting to manifest this banana, only one person saw it. So it's just a way of seeing that our vortex for reality means something. Our vortex for reality is our own creation. This is a window, a looking glass that we are looking through to our lives that gives the universe a very specific essence from us. So he has a theory that proves that everything works in spirals, and at the center of these vortex, it is spiraling. He also has a theory about everything as black holes, as I've described. So we are a black hole. And when we say black hole, what is a black hole? A deeper look. I'm not getting too much into the actual physics and the proof of it. So I ask you to look at his work if you're interested in this, and if you would like more theory and backup on this. This is just my way of looking at things so that you can understand the work that I do, because I think that this is an important part of how I've come to talking to you guys the way I do. When I talk about the toroidal field, I think it's important that you understand what my understanding is, whether or not you think that that is true or not. So the idea of a black hole is that it is always taking in energy and giving energy. That is it. That is all. That is what a toroidal field is. It is pulling its reality in and it's giving back. Just like when we breathe, we're breathing in, we're pulling our reality in, we're breathing energy in from the universe, and we're giving back. So that's all I really wanted to talk about for Nassim. And you guys can do that research on your own. So now I want to talk about getting into the idea of manifesting. And we are going to talk about manifesting before we get into soul retrieval. So I'm just building you guys up to the idea of manifestation in a larger way. So that's where I'm going with this whole thing. So we see a picture of a man who is just on this mountaintop, and he is just this direct receiver. He is this direct channel of energy that is always receiving. And he is literally receiving on all levels of his being right now. So that's what I wanted to bring in right now, is how you can physically receive energy into your physical body. So for instance, we have, so we have about 6 meridians on each of our arms, and we have about 6 meridians on each of our arms, and then we have 4 meridians running through each of our legs. So 2 on one leg, 2 on the other, and then for the arm, it's 3 meridians and 3 meridians. We have a large meridian running through our body, our core, from the top of our head throughout our core, going all the way into where our root chakra is. And we have a second core meridian called, so we have the governing vessel, and then we have another core meridian called the conception vessel that also moves through the core of your body. Where I'm going with this is there's an acupuncture point on the top of your head, on the literal top of your head, where your crown chakra opening is. And you can literally receive energy through this by being in alignment with your body. So in Qigong, we find out that every movement that you do, every time you crunch your arm a certain way, you're activating that meridian. Every time your body is straight, you're really activating the governing and conception vessel meridians. Every time and every movement your body makes, you're activating different essence of energy throughout your body, and you're bringing it into your physical vessel. So when we're manifesting, I'm going to talk a bit about how to manifest by taking action, and we're going to talk about how to manifest through the emotional body and through the mental body, but you can also bring that emotional essence into your body. So for instance, when I'll give you guys a really cute personal example of mine. So for instance, when I was getting signups for my new program the other day, I wasn't just like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, I was literally dancing. Like, I was literally dancing with excitement. I was bringing that into my entire body. I was physically moving the entire day yesterday because it felt good to bring that manifestation into my entire body, to feel the happiness I was feeling on all levels of physicality, emotionality, mentality. So I was bringing that into my physical body by dancing. You can do it in any way that you want. Like, you can do it by jumping, by it's yoga maybe, but depending on the physical movements that you're doing with your body, you're receiving energy in a different way. You're opening yourself up to receive energy in a different way. So I wanted to bring that into awareness. And I also wanted to say that certain things like opening your chest up to the universe, so that's like opening your arms and just opening your chest to the universe and just being present and allowing the sun and the sky and the energy to rain down on your physical body. You can breathe it in through your chest. You can breathe it in through the acupuncture points on your hands. You can breathe it in through raising your arms to the sky. You can bring physical energy into your vessel just by being like a receiver. And think of it this way, we are always giving and receiving energy, and you can take in more energy into your vessel always. It doesn't always have to be through physical movement, but every time you do bring it in through physical movement, think of your physical body as literally like a telephone wire. If the wire gets crumpled too often, it's going to have less energy flowing through it. If it's stuck or something like that, it's going to have less energy flowing through it. But when you're just straight and standing, or when you're moving your body in like a free way, it is allowing more energy to move through your physical body, and not just through allowing the universe to move through you, but by physically activating it through your physical vessel as well. In Qigong, this is what we call allowing the qi to move through you, the prana to move through you, whatever way that you want to really see it. So I want to talk quickly about the difference between shadow work and light work before we get into manifestation really quickly, because I feel like people who know about shadow work, this is where things are going to come up for you, where you're like, how does this work? How do we find the fine line between positive focus and manifesting and lying to ourselves or invalidating ourselves? What is the fine line there? So what I wanted to bring in is not just the idea of manifesting from not just the idea of shadow work versus light work, but the idea versus feminine versus masculine, the idea of yin and yang, the idea of polarity. Because when we look at shadow work and when we look at light work, that's what we have to understand, that it is a direct representation of the polarity of our dimensional level. So when we look at polarity like this, we understand that everything either has a feminine energy, a masculine energy, or the energy of child. This is the Holy Trinity that created our dimensional level. This is the Holy Trinity that came in after the Vesica Pisces. First, there was just one circle, and that circle was just like God just being there. God came outside of itself. God looked outside of itself. This is the different geometrical pattern that comes from the flower of life. God then looked outside of himself, and there was two circles. And within the two circles, we find the Vesica Pisces. The Vesica Pisces was the bonding between God or source and creating other, creating child, creating us. So then the Trinity comes in, and that's where you have mother, father, and child. So everything comes from these energies. The very makeup and fabric of our universe is from sacred geometry. So we can look at it like this. So everyone is either a masculine body or a feminine body, but we have both feminine and masculinity and childlike nature within all of us, no matter what your physical body is. And we can look at the fact that everything is either feminine or masculine. So negative energy is primarily what is connected to feminine energy, and positive energy is primarily connected to masculine energy. And I'm getting this from The Flower of Life by Jordan Melchizedek. So how he shows that is based on the negative and positive energy, based on the way basically the energy that is being pulled in from the human, like the human genitals. So the female energy is pulling in energy, and the male energy is giving. So it's like looking at that, we can say, okay, so female is associated with negativity and males are associated with positivity. But it's like, no, that is just an understanding that positive energy and negative energy doesn't have to be bad or good. We associate it, we assign meanings to it to make it bad or good, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be bad or good. It doesn't have to be right or wrong. We can look above right or wrong. We can look above bad or good. We can look above that. So I'm just bringing in the understanding that the difference between shadow work and light work is literally coming us back to yin and yang. Okay, so the difference between shadow work and light work. Shadow work is understanding that we need to integrate feelings and memories and aspects of us that have been in pain, that have experienced things we would consider negative, that have experienced things that we would consider a bad experience in our life, and to integrate it and validate it and give presence to that experience. Light work is positive focus, it's energy healing, it's connecting to the cosmos, it's connecting to universal knowledge, it's connecting to our inner beauty, really. And we need a balance of this, we need a harmony of this, but we need to understand that it is our own hearts that tell us what it is time to do. In my opinion, you shouldn't be too much into shadow work. You shouldn't let it consume you. You need to come to a universal level every once in a while, take a deep breath of air and let go of blame and let go of pain. And not that you're letting it go and saying it's wrong, but you're allowing yourself to experience the positive part of our duality, the positive part of the polarity in our dimension. And the positive part is a much more powerful point of manifestation. And that's where manifesting energy usually comes from, is from our hearts and from positivity and from happiness. So you can use manifestation and mindset work as much as you freaking want to. And you can also use shadow work as much as you freaking want to. But just never let yourself get stuck in shadow work, and never let yourself get stuck so much in positive focus that you're invalidating your own reality and the realities of people around you. Okay, so I want to talk about our emotional and our mental body now. So you can see that this picture, this picture that I've brought in is the different levels of human aura field, the different levels of the mental body, the emotional body. So when we're talking about the heart space, I brought something really important into the meditation last time. So I wanted to bring this in when I'm just talking to you guys, because I know that when you're in meditation and when I'm just physically talking to you, that you're going to get a different energy from it, and you might be able to decide more, I guess you could say, or you could decide on more of a mental level what I'm saying and bring it in bigger. So I wanted to say from the meditation that I brought in last time, the most important part for me is the realization that our heart space is our state of emotional body. It is your first extension of your higher self into this physical world. So when we can bring ourselves into fully listening to the emotional body and intuitively allowing the emotional body to take care of us and to work with us, from that space, we can bring it into the mental body and the physical body. But that is what the heart space essentially is. And that is to say, everybody is in their heart space to a degree. Everybody does. I mean, it's hard to say that really, but what I'm trying to say is everybody here on this call, whether you think you've experienced the heart space or not, you have, because I know each and every one of you, and I know that you're all on a state of feeling and emotional reception, and that is what the heart space is. And this program is about diving deeper into that. And I can give you guys content and I can give you guys exercises, and we can work together, but it's all about also what you're willing to take from it, how much you're willing to dive into the emotional body, how much you're willing to become one with the feeling state. And everybody's going to receive that differently in the group. Everybody's going to be on a different level of readiness to receive that feeling state fully. So the idea is that we come in union with our emotions, that we get into alignment with our emotions, and that we allow our emotions to be our gateway to manifest on this earth. Okay, so I sort of skipped ahead too far on the PowerPoint, but that's okay. So I want to talk more about manifestation now. So we're at the core juju of the manifestation, and I want to specifically use some examples that have been brought up in the group, but I'm definitely not going to say any names because this could be for anyone in the group. Even though I'm using examples that I know certain people are struggling with, this could be for anyone in this group. This could be for anyone that you know in your lives. This could be for anybody. So some things about manifestation that I wanted to talk to you guys about is how much are you willing to receive? That is what manifestation is all about. If you're in a state of lack or if you're in a state of blocking, that's when we consider bad things to happen to us because we're in a state of disalignment with our higher self, and that's how we get out of tandem flow with what it is that we really want and allowing ourselves to manifest. So it's all about what it is you are receiving, what it is you're allowing to take into your life. Yeah, Ruby, we're not on soul retrieval right now. I'm just working on manifestation. That's why. We'll get there. I promise, sweetie. We're talking about how to manifest right now. That's maybe what you weren't understanding. Yeah, I know. I just told everyone that I skipped ahead. So we're allowing ourselves to receive every single day, whether it's something that we consider a negative polarity or a positive polarity. We're always allowing ourselves to receive into our lives. We're always allowing ourselves to receive. We're always manifesting. It is a constant thing that we are doing, and we're doing it on all levels of our being. So for example, okay, so one example that I really wanted to use, but before we get there, this could be true for any relationship that you have. And when I say relationship, I don't just mean with people. We have relationships with everything in our lives. We have relationships with the people in our lives. We have our relationship to money. We have a relationship to our jobs sometimes. We have a relationship to our partners. And one thing that I was hearing from Matt Cain the other day that really helped me and that I thought was really beautiful. And I want to first say that Matt Cain teaches a lot from a universal level of understanding. So it's never to say to invalidate yourself or what you're feeling or what you're going through. But he was talking about allowing yourself to drop blame. So allowing yourself to drop blame in terms of your relationship to money or your relationship to your partner. Because when we can allow ourselves to take blame, and blame is a meaning that we assign to things. So when we take blame out of the picture, when we take blame out of the playing field, what we have is we're just working with that thing in our life. And so taking blame out of unhappiness, not allowing your relationship to be the reason you're unhappy, not allowing your job to be the reason you're unhappy, not allowing your relationship with money to be the reason that you're unhappy. And again, this is a universal way of looking at things. So it's okay if you have times where you're unhappy and you're blaming your job, or we're physical humans. That's okay. That's natural. But it's just coming to a higher universal state for this moment and being able to rise yourself to this universal state, whether or not you stay there, and realize that if we can just be happy, if we can stop being unhappy because of this or that or this relationship or that job, if we can stop assigning our unhappiness to something physical in our lives, we realize in that moment that the unhappiness is something that never really was. It's a choice that you are making. You're choosing to be unhappy because of this or that. To not even blame unhappiness itself for your unhappiness. And when you can completely take blame away from needing to blame yourself for your unhappiness, needing to blame someone else for your unhappiness, needing to blame money or the government from your unhappiness, when you take complete responsibility for yourself and your ability to feel happy or not happy at all times, you allow yourself to remove those blocks and you allow yourself to just be happy. And you can't always get yourself there, and it's not always going to work. But yes, at times it is really, really helpful when you're manifesting something, when you're making a change, that you don't hold resistance to that change. You don't continue to blame it. So when you allow your relationship to not be blamed, first of all, you're allowing the other person to be more free. You're allowing them to do what they have to do in their life. When you're not blaming them, it doesn't mean that you can't say this is my need, or that hurt my feelings, or whatever the case is. But when you're not specifically blaming them for your unhappiness, when you're not specifically blaming your job for your unhappiness, or money for your unhappiness, you realize, like, hey, it doesn't matter what physically is going on in my life or not. If I stop blaming these things, if I stop blaming unhappiness for being unhappy, then that opens up the gateway to happiness. Because unhappiness is a polarity. Unhappiness is the polarity to happiness. And all you have to do is revert back. All you have to do is say, I'm not going to blame this. I'm not going to be upset because of this. I'm going to allow myself to understand that my unhappiness is purely emotional. That it doesn't have to mean anything. That it doesn't have to mean that I have to blame someone for it. I can just feel it. I can just acknowledge it. I can just take responsibility for it. It doesn't have to be outside of me. Because the truth is, your emotions are within you. The truth is that you always have control over your emotions. And the truth is, nothing or no one can ever take your right to happiness away. They can't. Some people it's life purpose, where it's like, I'm unhappy because I don't know what my purpose is in life. And that's okay, but that you have these uncertainties, and that you might feel this way, but bringing it up to a universal level, you could say, I'm not going to blame the fact that I don't exactly understand my life purpose on my unhappiness either. So let's say you're trying to manifest something. Let's say you're trying to manifest more money into your reality. Whether it's more money, whether it's a specific feeling state in a relationship, whether it's a specific type of job or experience, or you want to travel the world. You want to start on the emotional essence of what it is that you want. And it's always a question of receiving. So opening your capacity to receive in all areas of your life. The more appreciation and joy that you bring into your life, these positive emotions are powerful manifestors. And the more joy and gratitude and appreciation that you have about your life, about the simple things, about the sun on your skin, about the trees in your area, about your animals, even your family members you might have had a problem with, looking beyond those problems and saying, hey, I'm happy they were on my journey. I can understand why they were on my journey, and sending them just like that human love that you can send to everybody, no matter what it is they've done or didn't do. So coming into a deeper state of appreciation, joy, and receiving, and maintaining that energy as much as possible throughout the day. We're always human, so we're always going to have shitty experiences and things that bring us down, and it's a part of the experience. And no matter how much in alignment you are, you can always come back to these negative emotions. And I'm telling you this is the case because collectively that is the desire at this time. Collectively, that is the desire. If you look at other higher dimensional societies, I'm not sure if everybody can connect to that at that point, but I'm me, so I'm going to say it anyways. When you look at higher dimensional societies, they don't even have anger or sadness or that's not their collective desire. It just didn't serve them anymore. They are literally running on joy, happiness, and positivity because they're not on a dimensional level of time, space, reality, and duality. They're not there. But we are there collectively right now. So it is always a human thing to come into sadness or anger, or it's serving us at this time. We're always going to come back there. And you can have it less and less and less and less in your life and see it more rarely. But always understand that it's okay if you have those moments. And that's the idea of shadow work, is acknowledging those moments and saying those moments are okay. And those moments are divine in their own way. And then you can also say that I'm going to try to get myself into a state of positivity as much as possible, despite any sadness I have, despite the fact that maybe, my partner might bring me down, or my job might bring me down, or I had a bad day because of one or the other, or I feel in scarcity mindset because a bill came in and I'm freaking out about it, or whatever the question is there. So it's okay to have a bad day, and it's okay to catch yourself and say, oh, I'm like in a really shitty mood right now. And it's okay to have those bad days. And manifestation is just about trying to bring in the positive mindset and trying to change your mindset when it feels okay with you. When you need to integrate and validate, you should always integrate and validate and be there for yourself. But it's bringing yourself back to the idea of the positive mindset and back to the idea of joy and gratitude as much as possible. Allow yourself for your inner child to come in and just laugh and have fun. Like, seriously, like, I wish I could just record myself to you guys when I'm just running in the forest or just in my backyard. Like, I'm just free. I'm just fucking free, and I don't give a goddamn who hears me. Like, and that is the child. That is the inner child within you that says, I can play and I can have fun. You know, it's the adult mind that says, like, oh, people are going to think I'm immature or whatever. Like, no, like, just be silly. Just, silliness looks different to everybody. Just be your silliness. Just be your inner child. That is your free inner rainbow essence that is like, I'm not going to fucking conform. I'm not going to be what you want me to be. I am who I am, and that is good enough. Like, or when I'm walking my dogs and I'm talking to them, and some people come in and they're like, okay, like, why is this girl like talking to her dogs and saying their names as if she's having a human conversation with them? And I'm like, I'm sorry guys, I'm fucking telepathic. Like, I actually am having this conversation with them on a deeper level. And so this is just me being me. This is just me being free. And when I'm in that space of freedom, and when I'm just letting myself be me without telling myself, oh, back up straight, chin up, or whatever the hell goes through your mind when you're like, I have to be a certain way, I have to conform, I can't let people think I'm weird, I can't let people think I'm different, or whatever. Like, these headpieces that you guys see me in, like, I do go into the forest like that, and I, at first I would be like all embarrassed, and I'd be like taking it off and shit, because I know that not everyone is spiritual. But now I'm just in this place where I'm like, hey, what's up? How are you doing today, sir? Like, I'm just wearing it, and I'm like, you know what, this is me. And if they think it's weird, like, that's their reality, and that's okay, and that's valid. But for me, I don't really care what they think of me, and I don't really care if they think that that's weird, or they're thinking that I'm like having some Native American like play or something. I don't really care what they think about it, because I just know that it's my divine expression. And I also know that a lot of people aren't on the same page as me. Like, they're not evolved mentally in the same way, where it's like, I can just be my divine expression and I don't give a crap. So I'm quite aware that a lot of people would look at this and be like, wow, she's weird. But I don't care, because I'm not on that level, and I think it's badass, and it's a part of my shamanic practice, and it makes me feel awesome. And I think that if I feel awesome in it, that's cool, and that's good enough. So it's coming to your divine expression and being as free as possible in yourself. That is what your childhood nature is. That is the inner child within you, is being true to your essence in whatever way it wants to express itself. Being true to you in whatever way you want to express yourself. And there will always be people that show up in your vibration to remind you that, not everybody is on your level of consciousness, and not everybody is as evolved as you are. But you can always come back from that space of knowing and go back to yourself and say, well, that's cool for them, but this is where I am. I'm living my life because it feels good the way I am. So manifesting is all about receiving and being as high vibrational as possible. Some people feel higher vibrational when they eat a vegan diet. Some people feel higher vibrational when they just eat like organic meats, or they give their prayer or their love to the meat that they're eating. I know in Native American tradition, some people do that, where they say, thank you for allowing me to have your essence. In Native American like culture and tradition, when an animal dies for you, it's literally giving you its essence. So it's not like you're taking it and you're being horrible. This is the type of way we've seen animal cruelty in our day in society. But the way Native Americans used to see themselves when they would kill an animal is like, okay, this animal is literally gifting me their essence and their soul so that I can continue on in my essence and my soul. They don't see it as like they're taking it away. Or so all I'm saying here is you be you in whatever way that feels good to you, and don't let anyone ever make you feel bad in the way that being you feels right, in the way that being you feels good. And obviously, like, there's different levels of awareness and stuff, but I'm just saying, if it makes you feel high vibrational, if it makes you feel good, don't let yourself shame yourself and guilt yourself over it. Because what we need to do is we need to start realizing that there's not a wrong way or a right way to do things or to be ascended or to be enlightened, but being high vibrational within your own vortex for reality allows you to send that higher vibration outwards towards the collective. So yes, in your life, search for what feels good in your heart and listening to what feels good for you at all times. For me, being a vegan and having that as my diet is not optional because that's the only way that felt good to me. But it's not the case for everybody, and I always respect that. I always respect that. And I always respect that there are higher vibrational ways of taking an animal's life. But I also respect some people in the way that they do this. Anyways, I'm going to move on for this part of the manifestation. So it is feeling good within your emotional system. It is feeling joy within your emotional system. It is also going back into memories. Memories are related to our mental state and also related to our emotional state. So that's why we go into integration and soul journeys like we do. So we go into integration and soul journeys as we do because our memories hold specific pieces of emotions and specific pieces of mental states and beliefs that we need to shift, or that could serve us to shift. So one thing that you can do to manifest something is to go into all your childhood memories resolving that thing. So let's say you want to manifest money. Go back to all those childhood memories where mom and dad made you think that, okay, you know, we're just not those people that have lots of money. Go back to that memory where your mom told you you couldn't have something or your dad told you couldn't have something and you felt like lack. Go back to all the memories of what you've seen from your parents, what you've seen from the society around you. Maybe it was a school teacher you had. Go back to all your memories around money and where you either could have something or couldn't have something or whatever the case is. And you want to ask yourself, what did this teach me? What did this memory teach me about this event? What did this memory teach me about how I see money? What did this memory teach me about how I see what job I was going to have when I'm older? What did this memory teach me about the type of relationships? So going back to your past relationship memories, and a girl or a guy treated you a certain way, and then you formed this belief and story around the way that men and women treat you. So it is going back to your memories, and this is literally part of the homework, okay? I want you to go back to all your memories, resolving the thing that you want to manifest in your life, and I want you to rewrite that story. So I want you to identify as many stories that you have told yourself throughout your life, as many beliefs. And I want you to also go into the emotional proof. So there's often negative emotional proof that is backing up these stories and is backing up these beliefs. And I want you to go in from integrating and validating that experience to focusing on emotional positive responses that back up the new story. So what you want to do is rewrite the belief that you've had. Ask yourself, is this ultimately true about money? Is this ultimately true about my relationships? Is this ultimately true about my ability to receive? Is this ultimately true about my body? Is this ultimately true about how I love myself or not? I want you to go back into all of your stories, no matter if they're no matter where they are, no matter what experiences have led you there. And I want you to rewrite them mentally. Find a different story to tell. Ask yourself, is this ultimately true? And the answer is always no. So you want to rewrite that story so that it feels better to you. After you've mentally rewrote that story, you can find a mantra. You can go in and back your new mantra up with emotional proof. So a proof when money did come easily. You know, I'm going to talk about some of the core beliefs that come up for us in our lives sometimes, because this might help and trigger certain people here. So for instance, some people have this idea that money is evil, or money is wrong, or money, you know, good people don't have money. These are all completely bullcrap beliefs that some people have grown up with, by the way. So sometimes we tell ourselves story about, oh, money is not good, or you know, or you know, I'm not good, so I don't deserve to have a good relationship. Or sometimes there's beliefs around like money is hard to earn, or money is hard to earn, or money doesn't come easily. So we rewrite all these beliefs that we're telling ourselves about our lives and about the situations in our lives. We rewrite them, and we give mental proof, we give emotional truth, and we decide that we get to change our mind. We get to decide that no matter how old we are, that no matter when we're coming to this idea, that we get to change our mind and that we get to change our lives. We want to change this emotionally for ourselves and mentally for ourselves. And what we do from that space and that level is you find intuitive physical action to expand it into your life. So after you have emotionally and mentally changed your ideas about relationships, your ideas about receiving, your ideas about, you know, whether it's receiving love from another person, whether it's receiving money from your job, we get to change our minds, and then we allow the universe to guide us to the next step. So it's about constantly maintaining the essence or the feeling state of what we want. And that doesn't always have to be physically doing what we want. I said to a friend the other day who wants to be like a songwriter, a famous songwriter, and I said, like, you know, don't just sing every day, and don't just make music videos every day to be that person. Get into the feeling state of what it feels like to be a singer. What does feeling a singer make you feel like? What is the freedom that you feel when you are a singer? What does it do for you? You get onto that emotional level of feeling, whether you're doing physically what you want or not, whether you're taking physical direct action towards what you want, or whether it's more just emotional action towards what you want. You're always walking yourself towards what you want on a constant daily basis. That is what true manifestation is. So it is getting on the mental level, it is getting on the physical level, and then is allowing yourself to be guided in the right direction, to tell yourself, okay, I'm done with this job, I'm so done with this job, and to give yourself permission to quit, and to give yourself permission that, okay, I'm going to start thinking of all the different things that I could do. And it doesn't mean that you have to go and act on those things. You could just brainstorm with yourself. You could just think. By changing your energy and bringing new things into your life, whether you physically act on them or not, you're getting to change your mind about what your life is. You're getting to rewrite your story. And then physically, the action will become apparent to you. Oh, I could actually do that career. Oh, here's the first steps on how to do that career. Oh, you know, even if I'm not going to be staying in that career forever, maybe that's where the universe is leading me right now. Manifestation in intuitive action is always this. It is listening to your heart space and is asking yourself, does this feel soft or hard? Does this feel like something that is emotionally positive that I'm giving to myself, or does this feel emotionally not good? So it is allowing your heart space to be the guidance system that intuitively carries you to the actions that you need to take. And I want you guys to know that whether it's a relationship change, whether it's a job change, whether it's being able to receive, you are so capable of manifesting anything that you want. You do get to change your mind. You do get to change your story. You do get to rewrite that. And it is all about telling yourself that I have the ability. And I'll give you guys my own experience of how I feel the universe works in different ways. So So I've heard people talk before about how you are a vibrational match to a certain amount of money at any given time. And so, like, let's say your lowest low is like, I talked a bit with Angelica about this in our call. So she's like, yeah, I heard this shit. So let's say your lowest low is like, I'm always going to be living in my house. I'm always going to have food provided for me. Like that's your bottom line is like, I'll always just have enough. Everybody's bottom line is different. I want you guys to find your bottom line. What is your bottom line? What is the lowest vibrational situation that you will allow yourself to get into? This is the energy that you are available for. Certain people are not available for not being able to pay their bills. It's not a vibrational setup for them. Some people are not vibrationally available for receiving like they're not vibrationally like available for not being able to buy what it is that they want to buy. Some people have this lowest low that is like all my needs are going to be met, and not only that, there's going to be more left over. So whatever it is that your vibrational bottom line is, for some people the bottom line is it's okay if I don't pay my bills. It's okay if I don't have enough money for food. It's okay if some people's lowest low is it's okay if these things happen to me. It's okay if I don't have enough. That is what you are available for. And the thing is, you get to change what you're available for. You get to change your mind, but you want to do it incrementally. You don't want to just say that I'm going to be a different person tomorrow. So incrementally, let's say you're changing your lowest low from, okay, I'm never not going to have enough money to pay my bills to I'm always going to have enough money to pay my bills, and I'm always going to have enough money to, let's say it's go on a vacation once a year. So you change your lowest low. And then what you can do for manifestation is you realize what it is that your highest high is. So let's say your maximum is like, you know, sometimes I'm going to go on an epic vacation twice a year. What if that's your maximum idea of what vibrational setup you are like available for? What if that is what your energy is available for? So then you get to also incrementally shift your maximum. So let's say you're shifting your maximum from having 2 vacations a year to getting to go to like a more expensive vacation, or getting to have nicer things in your house, or getting to buy like more expensive organic food. Whatever the difference in your maximum is, whether you're looking to receive lots of money or you're looking to just change your vibrational mindset to receive more money, wherever you are, you get to change your lowest low. You get to change what you're a vibrational match for. And I'm going to give you guys some proof on how the universe does actually work in this way. So for instance, before I got into my career as a coach, I always vibrationally knew that I was going to be a coach. I always knew in my heart that I was going to be working with people in this way. I didn't know exactly how it's going to come to me. I didn't know exactly in what way it was going to come to me, but I always kind of knew that that was going to be the case. I was always kind of prepared that I would be doing this. So anyways, but I didn't know how it was going to happen, and I didn't exactly know exactly what it would be. I didn't exactly know how my career was going to look like. I wasn't prepared for that part. And so because of that, I was just kind of letting myself go from, you know, different jobs and stuff. And, you know, it was kind of like, oh, okay, if I need money, I have to have a job. That was, you know, in my mind, vibrationally, that was like, okay, you don't just like have your own career, you go out and get a job. Because in my mind, I was unprepared to have my own business. I was unprepared to have my own career before that day. Anyways, so I was working, I had like left all jobs at one point to get really in center with my Qigong training and everything like that. And I had decided to go back to work. I ended up being a vibrational match to a call center because I went into it like, this is not going to be my career. This is just like a whatever job to get some money for the time being. My heart wasn't even in it. And this call center literally fired me within a week because I was too nice, and the way I was treating people wasn't like I was trying to trick them, which is what they wanted me to do. I was treating every single person really nice and being respectful of them, and I wasn't willing to sacrifice my identity as someone who honestly cares about everybody to be the snake, so to speak, that they wanted me to be. And so they fired me, and I was like, oh shit, like what am I going to do to make income right now? And I had already been doing like free readings for people and stuff. And I actually already had a client approach me to have a first session with her before this. It was literally a day before I lost the job. Anyways, so I lost the job and it just came to me and I was like, oh shit, like I've already had someone offer to pay me for what I'm doing. And then it was just like, oh, it's in divine alignment. Like I can do this now. I don't need permission. And I had no idea how my career was going to start. I had no idea in which way it was going to take fold. And I just trusted the universe and I went for it. The reason I'm bringing this up is because it worked. I started making money within that week. I started making money the week that I lost my job. I started making money that day. I started making money in the next couple of days because I was not available for not having money. I was not available for not being able to pay for my own food. I was not available for not having enough. And so the universe brought me into the perfect time of, okay, now you're going to start your career. Like you've had enough time. Obviously, there's so many different career changes that I've made. There's so many different things that have backed me up over this time period that I've been doing this. But the universe literally smacked me on the face with it. And it's because it was in perfect divine timing. It's because I wasn't a vibrational match to not having money, and I wasn't a vibrational match to not having enough. Given that I had already been manifesting this career for at least half of my life, but the point is the universe backed me up because of where I knew I vibrationally was, and it always is that way. If you allow yourself to figure out what your lowest low is, what you're available for, you're gonna know, okay, I can raise that. I can practice raising that, and I can practice changing what I'm available for, and the universe will match that. And one thing I want you to understand is it doesn't matter if it's through your job. It doesn't matter if it's like, sure, it's amazing to set up these lines of income from the universe, like our jobs and like, whatever streams of money are coming into. But the universe doesn't just have to be limited by that. In my reality, I had literally lost my job and the universe wasn't limited by that. So money does come to you vibrationally, no matter what career you're in or not. Sometimes it'll be, in magical ways, in ways unsaid. And sometimes it'll be more like, okay, this just makes sense, like a career change or something that's like more physical, more real. It all depends on what you're matched to. So does anybody have any questions on their own experience with manifesting? I want to take questions on manifestation before we go on to soul retrieval and the shamanic journeying. So I'm just going to wait for people to type up their questions. I feel this is like really important that you guys get to ask me some things about this. By the way, whenever I'm teaching, guys, you can be asking me questions throughout. I feel like you guys don't always ask me questions. Yeah, we're always manifesting. And the idea of manifestation is that you get to decide to manifest. You get to decide to set your intentions to manifest something. So you're always manifesting whether you know it or not. So it isn't like a whole... Exactly, Ruby. Exactly. The universe is always providing for you where your vibrational match set point is, where your vibrational mind is, where you emotionally are. It's always responding to you. It's always responding to your reality, your vortex for reality. You'll just know. You'll just know within yourself that you're ready. And the thing that you're really asking there is, can I trust myself? Am I able to trust myself? Angelica, that's what that question translates into for me, is am I able to trust myself or not? So the answer is, you will know. If you trust yourself, you will just know when it is time to increase that. And it can only ever come from trusting yourself, and it can only ever come from just knowing that it's the right time. So no one can ever tell you this is the right time or not the right time. Again, that's you looking for permission, right? We talked about this. We talked about this. Yes, Ruby? By the way, I know a lot of you have this thing where it's hard for you to speak up. How do you manifest more times sequentially? Well, for me, I always do it from a place of service, of my work is of high value. The things that I'm offering people like are amazing. And so it's not just about me making money. It's about like, oh my God, I'm going to change like so many people's lives with this content. And there are people out there that are a match to this content. And so universe, lead me in the direction. How do I get the people that need this content? How do I get the people that want me to be of service to them in this way? And the universe leads me every time. Also, something that I've been trying recently, which can be really helpful, is seeing your manifestation in the butterfly effect. So beyond just like, oh, this is going to affect me in this way, like what I've been doing recently is like, oh, this is going to affect like my family. This is going to affect my partner. This is going to affect my cats and dogs. Like if I manifest more money, I'll be able to buy my dog more bones, buy my dog more treats and like toys and stuff, or I'll be able to like feel freer or happier or whatever the hell it is. So it's allowing yourself to know that how your vibrational change affects more than just yourself. I feel like that is like so expansive when you involve different people into the manifestation. Yeah, there was a lot of times at the beginning of the career where I was holding myself back. I was holding myself back financially. I was like in that like common like healer thing where I was like, oh, I just need to be of service to people and like give them my time for free and help every single person who comes and begs me for it. Or like people would like take longer time than they had paid for, and I would just like let it slide. That happened a lot at the beginning of my career, where, you know, people would be like, oh, can I pay you for a half an hour session? And then like it turns into an hour and they were not prepared to pay me for that hour, and I would just let it go. So there's lots of times where I held myself back in my career, and I feel like right now I'm at a point where I'm ready to not hold myself back. Okay, so I feel like we're gonna move on. Is there any last like questions or anything that anybody wants to ask? Yeah, so I worked with a number of different coaches and people throughout my career. I've taken a group program before. I've taken a number of like law of attraction coaches, money mindset coaches. When I first started my career, I worked with a business coach one-on-one, like a strategy coach. I've worked with my shamanism teacher. I've worked with my qigong teachers. Mostly I work with emotional support. So for me, I'm really big on emotional healing. I'm a Pisces, so I feel things like really, really, really deeply. So a lot for me, it wasn't like really coaching that I needed. It was like emotional support. So just go with what you need. It might be a business coach. It might be a social media coach. It might be an emotional coach. Go with the coaches that you feel are right for you always. And yes, I think it is like the idea that like I can do everything on my own is empowering, but it's even more empowering to say that this is an interdependent dimension, and that when we collectively reach out to one another, we can use people as a mirror of our own base of knowledge. So things become easier when we ask for help from others. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about soul retrieval and shamanic journeying now. We're gonna move on from here. You guys have your last 10-second opening to ask any questions you want to. Angelica is just jamming over there. Hell yeah, girl. Okay, we're gonna take literally a 2-minute pause, and then we're gonna talk about slow retrieval and shamanic journeying. Okay, guys. So just give me 2 minutes. If you want, you guys can unmute yourself and talk amongst yourselves for a minute or two. Okay, if anybody unmuted themselves, if they could just mute again for 2 seconds, and if everybody could come back slowly if they're able. Hey Astrid, just seeing you for the first time. Sometimes I'm so focused on the content I don't really see who joined after we started and stuff. So one thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about that I hadn't already mentioned about manifesting and stuff like that is this idea of permission. See, that's the problem, is that a lot of the time people don't give themselves permission to have what they have or to have the ability to have what it is that they want. So the first step in manifestation is always to give yourself permission. And I want to give you guys a personal example that like I have, because I find like personal examples are the best because it shows you like a real life example of how something can be true. So a real life example that I've had recently with manifesting is I realized that my core beliefs from growing up really centered in around like, having money is not necessarily a good thing. And like, I was stopping myself from making the money that I desired to make for the life that I desired to have, with this idea that it was like, oh, like good people don't have lots of money and like good people just give their time away for free. Like that was like the huge core belief that I had at the beginning of becoming a healer and of service to the world, was like, oh, I should just like give my time for free. And like that can be good when it's in alignment with you. That can be good when it works with you. But what I recently lifted was the idea that, hey, I can do good things with money. When I have more money, I can pay my virtual assistant more money. When I have more money, I can buy my loved ones a gift. I can buy someone a meal out. Like money can do good things. You could give to a charity. You could buy yourself something nice. So it doesn't always have to be looking at something and saying like, oh, this is how it's going to collectively affect the world, or how this could affect my family or something like that. But sometimes it does help to see the outside picture. But I do just want to bring you in to the fact that giving yourself permission and having a desire of your heart, that is good enough. And nobody can tell you it's good or bad. Nobody can tell you it's right or wrong. If it's something that your heart genuinely desires, you deserve to have it. You deserve to give that to yourself. Nobody gets to tell you that. Nobody gets to tell you it's right or wrong. So that's something that I've shifted recently, is seeing money as a good thing and seeing money as a mutual resource that isn't right, wrong, bad, or wrong, but it can be what you make it to be. Yes, money can be used for bad things, but it can also, when money gets in the heart of good-hearted people, of people that are good-hearted and who do want to do good things with their money, whether it's for themselves or the world, money becomes a beautiful resource. So yes, it can always be seen as bad or negative depending on who's using it. It is a mutual common resource. It doesn't have to be good, bad, right, or wrong. So let's move on to soul retrieval. I'm really excited about this. So like literally super, super excited. So everything that we've been doing in this program, by the guys, has led you up to your ability to work with soul retrieval. When we talk about our emotions, when we talk about our fragmentation, when we do shamanic journeying, the first thing that I want to build on with soul retrieval is the idea that you guys have already done a shitload of soul retrieval sessions with me, shamanic journeys with me. Not everybody in their one-on-ones took me up on the soul retrieval. Some people just talked and we did coaching and stuff like that. But everybody has at least experienced what it's like to be in a shamanic journey in this program so far. So the idea between the difference between shamanic journeying and soul retrieval is that shamanic journeying is actually the beginner step of soul retrieval. Soul retrieval is an expanded idea of a shamanic journey. That's how it came about. That's how soul retrieval came about. And the first thing that I want to say on soul retrieval, if I haven't already said it, before, soul retrieval has nothing to do with your soul. It has to do with bringing in fragmented aspects of emotional and mental consciousness, parts of yourself. Your soul cannot be fragmented. Your soul itself cannot be unwhole at any time. Your soul cannot be scarred or withered, or no, your soul is always whole. And death, the death, physical death of our lives, reincarnation, this whole cycle that we're working with, when we die, that is a restart. So some people think that, oh, if I go back to my past life, it's going to help me in this way or not. Yes, it can help you to learn about that stuff, but it's never going to affect the trauma that you have in this life. It's never going to affect this life right here and now. So if we can understand that our souls cannot be fragmented, if we can understand that our souls cannot be destroyed, if we can understand that you can't break up your soul, that like nobody can just like destroy their soul. No, trauma and fragmentation and every trigger that you have in your current reality has to do with from the time you were born to the time that you die. Death is us wiping the slate clean. Yes, we choose similar karmic patterns to manifest in, which is why understanding our past lives can help us understand this life. But it is always going to be more powerful to heal the trauma that we are going through in this life. So soul retrieval is not about actually that. The reason it's called soul retrieval is because, as you guys know, it comes from shamanism, and shamanism is an ancient practice. So the shamans that created soul retrieval, they thought that they were doing this. I'm giving you guys the more expanded version of soul retrieval. They thought that they were, allowing, they didn't understand fragmentation and emotional and mental fragmentation in the way that I do, in the way that most of us here do. They didn't understand that in that way. So they thought that they were literally putting the soul back together. So the soul retrieval has stuck, but I know lots of shamans, and the shaman that taught me is like this, that it's not about putting the soul back together. It's about emotionally integrating and mentally changing our mind and mentally validating experiences. It's about going in and saving the different aspects that are stuck in a place of trauma. That is what soul retrieval is about. Shamanic journeying is just going into the body and going into whatever experience comes up within you. It is allowing a practitioner or a shaman to have you journey into your body emotionally, mentally, whatever, and have an experience. A shamanic journey that I've had with a shaman leading me before did lead me back to one of my past lives as a Native American. It wasn't like, it was literally like I was her. Like, it was literally like I became her again in that moment. So shamanic journeying is, everything that we're talking about today on shamanic journeying and soul retrieval, it's all the beginner stuff, okay? So I'm giving you guys a beginner understanding of it. There's a certain amount of information here that can't be verbally expressed to you guys. We're gonna have to do it in actual practice, and I'm gonna give you guys homework and stuff where you guys are going to get to work on this. So we're just doing beginner understanding of it. So I'm going to give you guys the process of soul retrieval. Some people here, I know you guys know what completion process is. It's very similar in certain ways to completion process, and I'm going to show you guys how it's different than completion process as well. No one way is good or bad, right? So some people are more drawn to one, some people are more drawn to the other, but just for the sake of comparing and having something for people to understand, if you've heard of CP before, completion process, it is very, very similar in its understanding, in its intentions. But the process itself is very different. So I'm going to tell you guys how this process works. So soul retrieval starts off with just talking about the things that are going bad in your life or good in your life. You can do soul retrieval for positive or negative memories, for positive or negative experiences. And when you're doing it for the sake of positivity, you're doing it because you want to bring more positivity in your life. When you're doing it for negative experiences, it's because you want to integrate and validate certain experiences. So it starts off just by talking about things that are going on in your life. It starts off just by understanding whoever it is you're working with, or understanding in yourself, if you're working on yourself, what it is like to be you at this time, what you're going through, the different experiences you've had. And this is something that you allow to build for the first half of the session. I would say this is the most important part, is just talking with someone or validating your own reality to yourself. If you're doing it for self-purpose, it's just validating at this point. Now, what you do when you have validated the experience is, depending on what you're integrating, depending on the soul retrieval you're doing on yourself, or a shamanic practitioner that is doing it on you, depending on the type of soul retrieval that you're doing, you could go back to a memory from childhood. You could go back to a memory that is happening in your current day life. With soul retrieval, we don't always go back to childhood. I find that that's one of the biggest differences, is in CP, you're always going back to your childhood memory most of the time. With soul retrieval, it's not always just the childhood memory. It could be the childhood memory. It could be a memory from college. It could be a memory from when you're a teenager. It could be a memory from last week. So you work with whatever negative experience. For the sake of teaching you guys about soul retrieval, we're going to talk specifically about what you do with the negative type of soul retrieval integration. So when it's more shadow work versus the positive focus type, just so you guys are aware. So like whatever trauma or trigger is going on in your life, whether it was when you were a child, whether it was when you're a teenager, we work with that. And you're either going to get a memory or you're going to get a feeling state. So you start with the feeling state. You start with the emotions that someone is having and working with. You start with validating them and giving them presence and changing mentally in their mind any situation that you have to make them feel like they have more power over the situation, or to validate the situation, or to make them feel safer in the situation. And then you search for an emotional memory that is related to that. So you could work with the emotional memory that has come up today. Or you could ask them to allow themselves to have that emotion come up to them in other ways. So you're allowing the emotion to rise to the surface. I've kind of skipped a step here. So the first part of soul retrieval, step one, if you guys are writing it down, or if you guys just want to watch this video later to go back to it, step one of soul retrieval is you just talk, you just validate, you just get into the emotions. Step two is this. You want to build a portal of energy to take them to. This is not for integration. This is so that they feel safe before you start the integration. This is so that they can get into their safe haven, or their portal, or whatever you want to call it. In soul retrieval, we do this as the second step. So after you've talked a little bit about the negative stuff, a little bit about the emotions, you want to build a portal of energy. This is how, this is the beginning hows of how you build a portal of energy. Just like I taught you guys with building, taking energy from the earth, making the ball of energy bigger with positive memories, everything that we did in the heart space meditation, where you're allowing energy to channel through you from the angelic realms and from the earth, and you build it into a ball of energy, which then expands in front of you. So you make a portal for yourself to go into. And immediately you take safe support figures or anything into this portal that makes you feel safer. You allow this portal to take you to a safe haven or anywhere in the astral realm. So it could be like above the clouds. It could be, it could just be like a part of the astral realm. It could just be, it's anywhere that you feel safe. You're allowing this portal to take you to anywhere you feel safe. But what is an understanding from soul retrieval is that the portal itself is what you are in. So this portal is taking you somewhere in the astral within that portal. So that is your light vessel that is taking you there, and you're going to stay there the entire time. So even when you're in your safe haven, you're within the portal. Even wherever your safe haven is, wherever you're taking yourself, you're in the portal still. Then what you do is you want to allow that person to feel safe, to really get a good feel for their safe haven, to let themselves know that no matter what bad experience you guys pull up in that session, that they have already been to their safe haven, so they already know it's waiting for them. They already know it's there to take care of them. What you do is you allow them, while they're in the safe haven, to be reminded of the negative emotions you were going through before that. So you remind them when they're in the safe haven, like, this is what we were working with, like maybe we were working with sadness, maybe we were working with anger. You allow them to remember the fact that they were working with that with you. And then what you do is you take them through a vortex into that emotion. So what you do is you could ask them to choose water. You could ask them to choose sunlight. You could, like, maybe that person thinks that like fairy dust is like a cool ass vortex. Like I've had someone who's like, they hate water, they hate sunlight, but they're like, fairy dust is cool for me. So they just imagine themselves surrounded by pink energy. So you ask them to choose a vortex to go through. And what you're going to do is, as you, the shaman, is building the vortex, if you're doing this for soul retrieval on yourself, you're building the vortex for yourself, obviously. So you build a vortex by completely allowing that energy to come in. Let's say it's water, let's say it's soul. You imagine a dome of water or a dome of soil surrounding them. You involve I think that that question, Gabriel, comes from not fully understanding what I mean by a vortex. So a vortex could be represented by a door. It could be represented by a gateway. So a vortex in this, in the question of soul retrieval is this. The vortex is a gateway. It is a doorway. It is an energy that you are building to take you from one place to another. So since we are in the etheric realms, or in our safe haven, or in our astral haven, a lot of the time we're going to be more drawn to higher dimensional versions of a gate or versions of a doorway. Like doors that we walk through and gateways are something that we've really picked up from the physical dimension. But on a higher dimensional level of looking at things, you mostly are going to see vortexes. You're mostly just going to see like energy portals. I know that when I was, like whenever I go into the astral, the first thing I see is like sacred geometry vortexes. So basically my answer to that, Gabriel, is that they're the same thing, that they can be the same thing. That vortexes absolutely are doorways and gateways. It's just, it's a higher dimensional understanding of that gateway, of that doorway. It's understanding that even though you have a physical door before you, or you have a physical gateway before you, in our time-space reality, in the astral realm, it might be a pool of energy. It might be a pool of water. It might be a pool of dirt that you're going through. So it's understanding that a vortex or a portal or a gateway, what it is it's changing your vibrational energy. It's allowing you to move through something to change your vibrational energy and resonance. So it's taking you from one place to another. It's taking you from a different part of the universe. So what you're going to have them do before they go into their vortex is really, again, focus on the emotion that was brought up before we went into the safe haven. As they're going through their vortex, they're supposed to like really be present with that emotion even more. So it's having even more emotional presence to that emotion. And what you're going to ask them to do is drop into, so this is where the vortex is taking them, you're dropping them into the negative experience. You're dropping them into the emotional experience. So in slow retrieval, it's okay if a physical memory does not come to you. In slow retrieval, you might just be working with the emotions themselves. You could be working with the essence of a small child. Like I know I've done a slow retrieval before where she wanted to take herself to a dark room, and in that dark room, she had an image of her emotional body, her childhood emotional body basically slumped over, and she was tied down. This is someone that had been through serious physical abuse in her childhood, and so her childhood self was literally, like, I forget in what way exactly, but she was essentially like tied up by ropes or something like that. So she took herself into that memory, but she couldn't physically actually be present with the physical abuse itself. So she was present with her inner child in the way that her inner child was okay with experiencing it. So soul retrieval can take you just into an astral room or an astral memory where you can get to connect with this aspect of fragmentation, this aspect of your emotional body, this aspect of this part of your consciousness. So it's being taken to that part of yourself. Sometimes people might see it in a memory. This is often the case for me, and I find it sometimes is very powerful to work with the memory. But what I've experienced along my journey of doing this work is that not everybody can get mental images or memories that are related to the emotion. Sometimes they've blocked themselves, especially when we're talking about someone who's been through abusive situations. So for example, I have someone that I was working with, and like she's been through a shitload of abuse in her life, and she's like, I can't see these memories, like they're so blocked. A lot of people, when they have these memories, it's extremely blocked, and I find it's important that you don't push someone to just choose a memory or to just find a memory, but you'll go with them even if they're not ready to see the memory. You'll go with them even if they just are being present with that fragment in any way that they can experience the fragment. What you do in that situation is you have a connection process with this fragment. You want to validate their experience. You want to understand what it is they're going through. You might want to ask them questions to understand maybe what age they are or understand more about what they were going through at the time period. You're honoring here that even though you might not get the memory, that these emotional responses and the way that your fragment is emotionally resonant is always connected to a memory, whether you know it or not. So you're honoring that there is in fact a memory here. There is in fact a time period where they existed, but you might not know so much about them. So you start to ask questions about them. You start to see what responses they're going to give you. You start to validate them, give them presence. You allow them to dive deeper into their emotions. When you're diving into emotion, it's always physically feeling it in your body, physically being present with the emotion, and acknowledging the emotion on a mental level of validation. It's being present with it, and it is understanding that emotion. It is giving validation and understanding that emotion, and you're regaining the intimacy that you lost when that fragment left you. So when that fragment split off from your main consciousness, you lost an intimacy with it because that fragment couldn't understand your reality as much as you couldn't. Like, it's literally like a loss of understanding with aspects within you. So there's these aspects within you that don't understand each other, that don't have an intimate connection with each other. That's the whole idea of fragmentation, is that they became lost from the core of who you are because of a moment of trauma, because of a moment of hurt, because of a moment of sadness. They literally like broke off from you. And so there's a loss of connection, there's a loss of intimacy, there's a loss of understanding. So just like, Gabriel and Elizabeth did the connection process, you're essentially doing that with your fragmented aspect. You're essentially trying to get to know your fragmented aspect, give presence to it, validate it. And then what you get to do is you get to change its experience. And this is not invalidating the fact that this aspect of you had this experience, but it's honoring the fact that you get to change it so that the emotions can change, so that the mental story that aspect is telling you around this aspect can change. It's honoring the fact that if this fragment is an emotional response from trauma, is an aspect that mentally couldn't deal because of trauma, it's honoring the fact that you can bring in different emotions, or you can bring in more safety into a moment of trauma. So like, a safe support figure could come in and give a talking to their abuser. You could give a talking to your own abuser. Sometimes they want to be rescued, so they just want to leave the situation. They don't actually want to give a talking to the abuser. They just want to be taken away from the situation altogether. Sometimes they'd want to express their anger, so they might want to hit the abuser back. And if they choose anger, you got to validate that, because that's them trying to take their power back and honoring anger in a way. So this is honoring anger in a way that is emotionally honoring anger itself as an emotion, but you're not taking physical action on it. So even though they're expressing their emotional anger by hitting someone in the astral realm, or like obviously it's not like they're actually hitting their actual higher self, it's just what they perceive of that person in that memory in that moment. They might need to hit them, or they might need to do something with them that we would consider horrible if they were doing it on the physical world. But since they're not doing it in the physical world, it is just them acting out their emotional needs, and you're not actually taking physical action on it. So this is a healthy way of expressing anger, so you don't actually end up hitting that person in real life. You get to hit them in this memory, you get to hit them in the experience. So it's just allowing yourself to act out whatever it is you need to act out, to be with the emotions in whatever way you need to be with these emotions, so that you can give yourself permission to heal. You can give yourself permission to integrate. You're getting yourself in alignment, this fragment in alignment with integrating into the self, integrating into the whole of who you are. So at this point, you want to prepare them for integration as much as possible. Yeah, sure. So in slow retrieval, you can either go into the first person perspective of this situation or a third person perspective of this situation. Yes, Gabriel, definitely. Definitely. Thank you for bringing that up. So what you can do when you're working with this fragmented aspect is that you can become the fragmented aspect. That's the best intimate way to understand it. So when you're going into the first person perspective, it is the most intimacy that you could possibly give to this fragment. It is not just understanding them from a third person perspective where they're outside of you, but it is literally becoming them. It is literally taking on their perspective, taking on their emotions from first person perspective. So it is a more intimate way of doing it. It is a deeper way of doing it. And then sometimes you can only stay in the first person perspective for so long, so you might need to go outside into the third. So you might need to go outside of the first person perspective to see what things are like from an outside, to give them outside validation, to give them outside support, to help them integrate from an outside perspective. So my answer is, when you're in the first person perspective, when you are them, it's a deeper form of intimacy with yourself, with taking them as a part of you, with removing the separation between you and this fragmented aspect. And when you're going into the third person perspective, it's more of a way to take control over the situation and to give them the support and the change that they weren't able to take in the actual moment of trauma. So it's getting more control over the situation, and it's helping the fragment come to a place of integration from a place where you're more in control. Because obviously that, whatever fragment you are, when you're in first person perspective, if you're really, really in first person perspective, you're also experiencing the helplessness and the powerlessness that you were experiencing at that time in your life. So it stops you from taking the control into the process, which is what you need. So you do need to experience both first person and third person perspective when you are working with any fragment, because it gives you a deeper understanding of the fragment, and then it allows you to take on the role of controlling the situation and being able to help the situation from a place of power that part of yourself wasn't able to do. So the entire point of soul retrieval is to realize that these fragmented parts of yourself are you, that they are an aspect of you, that there is no separation between you and them. And that is where integration comes in. So what you want to do at this point is, when they are ready, you want to take them back into the vortex that brought them there in the first place. So when they are ready, you basically so first, what you want to do is you want to identify how many aspects you worked with in that session. So usually a number just comes to me, or sometimes you will visually see, like, okay, there are 3 children in the room. So you might visually see how many aspects are in the room, or you might just, the number might just come to you. Sometimes it could be something like 3, but I want you guys to know that sometimes it could be like, oh, I worked with like literally like 100 different aspects. I've had experiences like that. Usually in those type of sessions, it's like more like a 2-hour, 3-hour session where we've really gone into like every aspect of their life. So that's another important part of soul retrieval. In this process, you don't just stop with one memory or one emotional experience. You go for as long as you and the person have agreed upon, or you go as long as you need to if you're doing it on yourself. You go into as many varying different experiences as possible. So when you drop out from the vortex, that's at the point where you get to continue. Once you've come out of the vortex, that's where you're going to continue switching. Like once you've validated one emotional experience, another one might come up. Once you've validated one emotional trauma, you might, like another emotional trauma might come up. So once you come out of the vortex, that's where you are allowing yourself to go into as many memories or as many emotional experiences that need to be integrated in that session. So you're going into as many need to happen, as many are ready. You don't want to push it. You don't want to go farther than the person or yourself feels like they need to go in that session, but you do go into as many as they feel comfortable with. And it's not just like a comfort thing. It's literally like, I don't feel right if I don't go into this memory. Like I just went into a memory A and I really don't feel right with myself if I don't also go into memory B. Or memory A and B are connected, so I have to go into both of them. So when you feel like you're at a place where it's like, okay, I've validated the experience, I've really been there for the inner child, that's where you find all the fragments that you've worked with in that session, and you bring them with you into the vortex. So you allow the vortex to take you back in with your safe support figures and with all your fragmented aspect. Once you are inside the vortex, you are back in your safe haven or in your portal or in your astral realm or whatever way that you want to see it. And what you do from there is you allow them to first really, really get present with the idea that now they're in their safe haven. You allow them to get really, really present with the idea that now they're like in a place of safety. Now they're in the portal again. And then what you do is you allow them to do anything that they need to do in this space before they're ready to integrate. When the fragmented aspects are ready to integrate, the person who is having the process done on them, whether it's for self-use or whether you're doing it on someone else, it's always the person who's having the process done on them that is going to come to a place of, okay, I'm ready to integrate now. You never want the practitioner is not the one that says, okay, you're ready to integrate, just go for it. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like, that is force. It's not going to work like that. You have to allow it to come from them. And I just want to say that soul retrieval is a guided process. You're allowing yourself to be guided. You're allowing someone to help you out here. But the reason I'm using the word guided is because even though you're allowing someone to guide you, it's you going through it. Everything is happening within your own heart. Everything is happening within your own reality. It's all about you in this process. And the other person is only ever guiding you, but it is all about you. It's all about your emotions. It's all about your memories. It's all about what feels right to you or what feels wrong to you. And you always need to remember that when you're going into these processes, because it's never okay for the practitioner to take your energy in a way that you're not ready to go. It always has to come from the person who's going through the process, the way they need to go through it, the way they need to go through soul retrieval. So at this point, what you want to do is so I'm just going to answer Gabriel's question there quickly. So he's saying that in CP there is a choice whether to go into the safe haven or to integrate outside of the safe haven. The difference between soul retrieval and CP is that in soul retrieval, it's like the portal that you're building, you can rescue the inner child, or you can do whatever needs to happen before they go into the safe haven. But no, in slow retrieval, it's not really, it's not that it's not a choice, it's just that that's not how the process works. You're gonna work with that aspect of yourself in the portal or in the safe haven in whatever way that they need to work with it. But you're not going to be like, okay, no, I'm not going to the portal at all, or I'm not going to the safe haven at all. It's just not so slow retrieval works, and you're going to understand why that is the case when we talk about the ending integration of slow retrieval. So no, it's just not how slow retrieval works. And as I said, I don't think that one process is better than the other, or see, like in both processes, there are changes that I feel like could be harmful or better depending on the person that is going through it. So for instance, like in CP, sometimes it's more of like, oh, you have to go into the memory, you have to go back to the childhood thing, and that might feel bad for some people. And so some people might say like, oh, I don't like the fact that slow retrieval makes you go into the portal. Like, I don't really feel like I always want to end in the portal. So what I do, honestly, is like I allow myself to know that they're only processes and guides, but again, it's all about you. So like literally sometimes I do a morph of CP and slow retrieval, and the whole idea of that is like you don't have to have it one way or another. You get to choose how you want to do it for your process. Slow retrieval is a process, it's a guide, but it's not life or death, right? No one's holding a gun to your head to follow the process step by step. So yeah, sometimes I follow both processes at the same time because they're so similar and they do kind of work with one another. You always want to know which process you're using as your rule book. But what I would say for that is if it really doesn't feel comfortable, screw slow retrieval's rules and just don't go into the portal in the end. Like, you know, like this process is a guidance to help you, but you know, it should never feel like force. That is the one thing that I can tell you about slow retrieval and CP is it should never feel like you're forcing yourself to do something that you're not ready to do. It should never feel like you have to do this because this is how the process works. It should also always come from it feels right for me. It naturally feels right for me to do this next step. It naturally feels okay for me to do this next step. And as I said, the most important thing that I can give you about all of the work that I've done, because before I knew about slow retrieval, I would do CP on myself. That's what I was doing before I came to slow retrieval. I had a bunch of CP practitioners that I worked with. I did CP on myself all the time. And when I switched to slow retrieval, and I started actually working with people one-on-one on doing slow retrieval and doing slow retrieval training and shamanic journeying, I realized that the number one important thing, whether you're working with CP, whether you're working with slow retrieval, is to understand that it's all about you. When you're in this process, it's all about you. It's all about the client. It's all about the person who is integrating. It is all about them. Nothing should come from force. Nothing should come from impatience. Nothing should come from the practitioner throwing their judgment in, or no, it's all about the person that is going through that integration. That is the single most important thing that you could ever know about these processes, is that you have to honor the person who is doing the process in any way that might come up for them, and to be able to change your mind, to be able to just flow with whatever that person is needing at that time. Obviously, like, you're never going to lead someone into harm's way vibrationally or emotionally, but overall you want to be very cognizant in listening to them, in listening to when they're ready. I find it's very important that as much as I'm guiding them, that they understand that even though they're allowing themselves to be led or guided by me, more than anything, they're guiding themselves. I'm just someone that is helping them along the way, just holding their hand, but you know, at the same time, they are guiding themselves. And these processes, even though you can do it with a practitioner or a guide, because that means that you have support, and that means that you might be able to go deeper into the process, whether you're doing it on yourself or whether you're doing it with someone else, it's about your process. It's about how you need to process. And it's about going with your own instincts and your own trust and your own needs. And it's always, always honoring the person who is going through that process in any way that person needs to process it. And being open to change, and being open to maybe their needs aren't black and white as everybody else's needs are. Maybe their portal is built a different way. Maybe they don't want to go in the portal at all. So yes, most of the time in soul retrieval you do go to the portal, but what I'm saying is that you should always honor what the person needs that you're working with. So even though that is mostly what does happen in soul retrieval, it is okay if it doesn't happen. So that is my answer to that question. So once you're in the portal, again, once you've gone through the vortex, you already built the portal before you ever went into the memories. You already built the portal in the second step of the process. So you're just going back into a portal that is already there, that was already waiting for you. So you're going into the vortex with these soul fragments, with these aspects of your inner children, whatever you want to look at them as. And what you do there is, so you want to continue to validate the experience. You want to continue to emotionally validate them in the ways that they haven't already been emotionally validated. You want to do with them whatever work is unfinished, with whatever work that needs to be done before the integration takes place. And they also get to decide, like, no, I don't feel comfortable with integrating. Like, no, I just don't think these aspects are ready to integrate. And sometimes what can happen is saying, like, oh, I think a couple of my aspects are ready to integrate, but not all of them per se. That's okay too. So you do the integration, the soul retrieval anyways, where you're actually integrating it, but you're allowing the aspects that aren't ready to integrate to be like, okay, you can stay in the safe haven, you can stay in the portal, I'm going to protect you here. I'm not going to force you into me. So nothing is ever coming from force. Nothing is ever coming because you have to. That is not how these processes work, and they can become extremely damaging if any practitioner or any person doing it on themselves is not honoring their own heart space, their own inner guidance system. And also, I don't take these processes lightly at all, because it can be extremely damaging if you do it in the wrong way. It can be more harmful if you do it in the wrong way. You're going into that person's core trauma and juju. Holy shit, it can get scary if you do it wrong. And I'm not trying to build you guys into fear, but I'm just saying that yes, it's extremely important that you take patience with this process, and that you're allowing it to come as it needs to be, and that you're really respecting and honoring the person that you're working with at all times. Because yes, this is extremely, when you're doing these processes, the best way I could explain it is the person in the processing is so damn vulnerable that they're extremely susceptible to one thing's going wrong, to that extremely damaging them at their core level. And I'm not saying to ever open yourself up to that. I'm just saying to be aware that it is not something that you should ever take lightly when you're doing these processes. It's not something that's just for fun. It's not something like that's just cool. It's like, no, this is like real. This is something real. This is something, this is a tool that you can use to change your life, but it should always be used consciously, and it should always be used with awareness, and it should always be used with the utmost respect and care for the person who is doing the process, and always honoring the vulnerability and state that they are in when they are doing this process. The most important thing above anything else is that you are honoring the person who is allowing themselves to be so vulnerable with you. You are honoring them above everything else in that moment. And when you make a commitment to do a session with someone, that is the commitment that you are making, to honor them above everything else. And I, like, for instance, like, I will reschedule a soul retrieval immediately if I feel like I'm not in the place to do that for someone, because you could damage them. You could. You have to, like, you literally become a channel of energy, a guide that literally is supposed to be, like, when you're the practitioner, you're literally supposed to come to a place of where you're not allowing your judgments to get in the way of things, where you're not allowing your own experience with things to get in the way of things. You're literally becoming a channel of energy and light. You're literally becoming a physical spirit guide who is there for them in any way they need to. That is the commitment you are making to someone when you say, I will do a soul retrieval session with you. That is the commitment that is involved, is that you have to literally be there for them in all ways, because they're literally opening up the deepest, most vulnerable part of themselves to you. And it's terrifying if you don't have someone who understands that, right? So what you do when you're actually there after you've integrated, or not after you've integrated, but after you've done whatever prep you need to do to energetically get the person ready to integrate. If they say, yes, I'm ready to integrate, or if they say, yes, certain aspects are ready to integrate, what you want to do is you want to allow them to be, to become a part of a vortex of energy. It could be the vortex that took you out of the safe haven or portal, or they could choose another vortex. Again, this could be sand on a beach. This could be sunlight. This could be fairy dust. This could be someone might want to curl up in a ball of moss. So you choose whatever vortex, which is literally just like an element or an energy that you're using and honoring. So you use whatever energy that you're honoring at your disposal. You build the vortex. All you have to do to build the vortex is literally just both of you are focusing on this energy. So both of you are focusing on the soil, moving around their body. What I like to do is involve movement, because it makes it, as physical beings, involving movement into the vortexes makes it more real. So like what I do sometimes is I'm like, okay, so now the sand is moving around your body. So it makes the vortex for healing more real when you allow movement to be involved, and you want them to get as much like they're feeling into the element. They can taste it, they can touch it, like they're a part of it. So, and sometimes what I do is like, you know, like you are safe from this element. So like someone might have fear that, oh, what if the dirt gets in my eyes or something like that? You're telling them like, no, this is like completely magical. So when you're using this vortex, even though you're using soil sometimes or sand sometimes, which is a physical thing, you are telling them this isn't just any sand, this is fucking magical sand. And one of the big differences between CP and soul retrieval is that in CP, they have you like drink water to cleanse yourself, and they always use water. Whereas in soul retrieval, it can be any element that you're integrating and you're using to cleanse yourself. So I do recommend doing that if it feels right for the person, if it feels right for you, where you're drinking water anyways in there just to symbolize your new life after being after whatever it is you're going through. You're symbolizing this new life that you're giving yourself within this integration. But you don't have to do that. Within soul retrieval, you can use sunlight as your vortex. Like the CP completion process, Teal Swan mostly tells you like, okay, you're going to use water. So she doesn't even describe it as a vortex. She just says you're going to use this magical water to cleanse yourself, and so that you can integrate. So soul retrieval is actually like saying like, okay, you can use any element. So again, not one way is right, not one way is wrong. It's just whatever you prefer to do. It's whatever process you prefer to work with in what way. So in soul retrieval, you can take sunlight, you can take angelic energy, you can take pretty much anything to make a vortex out of it. So, and this is just a beginner idea of what a vortex is. This is just a beginner idea. In reality, it's the more that you work with soul retrieval, and I'm going to give you guys homework on that, by the way. So it's the more you actually physically work with soul retrieval that you understand these things. A lot of it is not something that you can use in words. It's a feeling state. It's a state of being. So what you do at that point of integration when they're in their vortex is all you do is you ask them, okay, like prepare yourself, get ready. You allow them to take the aspect into themselves to integrate. So whether there's 5, whether there's how many, you tell them to take their time. And what you're doing on your end as the practitioner is so you're going into the astral realm. This is something that I might explain to you guys in a different thing. So I'm just gonna say it as if you know what I'm talking about right now, but again, it's something that I can't really describe to you just in this session. But essentially, the practitioner is going into the astral realm, and what might happen, like my experiences, is like sometimes the practitioner is seeing the fragmented aspects, and then you're moving with spirit to help them integrate in any way. So like you might need to send them healing energy, you might just need to be like a safe support figure holding space for them, like in whatever way you need to, you help them in the astral realm to allow them to have the best space possible to integrate. And again, the integration is happening within them. You can only ever be a support for that. So then you say like, okay, take your time and just allow them to come into you. So it's the idea that they are merging with this fragmented aspects. So the aspect of them that once felt separated and alone is now merging to feel whole and complete again. So you're allowing them to merge, and what you can do to make it more real for them is what I say is like, okay, so now the aspect is merging into your blood vessels. Okay, now the aspect is moving into your physical bones, into your cellular level. Maybe it's moving, now you're merging with the emotional aspect of this fragment and the emotional aspect of your physical adult, like your body. So you are asking them to really be aware of this process of integration in any way they can. And you can just say it in your own way. So like it could be like, oh, now you're merging with your auric field, or whatever way you want to describe it, but it's just a way to get them to realize how the integration is happening, that they're literally becoming one with this aspect. At that point, once the integration is over with, and again, it's the person who is doing the process, not the practitioner. It's never the practitioner. It's the person who is having the process done on them. So if they're if they are like practicing on themselves, then it's going to be you who knows it, but it's never going to be someone outside of you who knows when the integration is done. So they will say like, yes, I feel like the integration is done. At that point, what you want to do is you just want to meet any unmet needs for them. So even though you're now in your adult body and you've like merged and stuff, like maybe that person wants to play in the water before they go. Maybe they want to do something fun. So again, it's meeting the needs, and it's never rushing them out of the portal or the safe haven. You ask them like, are you ready to leave? And a lot of the time the answer will be yes after the integration. But sometimes people need a little bit more time. I know I've had people who are like, no, like I just need to like play and like be here for a little while. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like that's good for you, and I'll help you with that. So you just allow them to act out whatever they need to act out, or you allow them to say, I'm done, I'm ready to leave. And then what you want to do is you want to guide them back into the portal that led them there. And then that's it. You just want to ask them to come back to their present self. You allow them to move through the portal. Sometimes I count down from 10. And you basically are just asking them to slowly reconnect with their present day physical self, and to slowly disconnect from the safe haven, from the astral portal. And you want to let them know that that portal, that safe haven, will always, always be there for them whenever it is that they want or need. And I feel that's super important, because like for me in my own life, when I'm going through a trigger or trauma, I'm like, sometimes I take myself to the safe haven, even if I'm not doing a soul retrieval, because I'm like, okay, this is going to feel good. It's just a place that feels good for you to be in astrally, mentally. It's a place where you can feel comforted. So that is the end of today's session, and we're going to go deeper into soul retrieval. Next time we do a group meeting, we're going to go deeper into soul retrieval. We're going to go deeper into shamanic journeying. How we're going to do this is I'm going to ask 1 or 2 people before the class to step forward and say like, I'm okay to be vulnerable with people, and allow them for me to be the example. So I'm going to work with 1 or 2 people live in next group meeting. It might be more than that. So message me if you personally feel in alignment with being the example. So this is your homework, guys. Every single one of you has just had me describe this process of soul retrieval for you. With understanding that none of you are practitioners at this point yet, you want to, I'm going to get you guys to team up with each other, well, absolutely respecting the fact that even though you're there to guide them and be support with them, this is really them, you're just giving space for them to process this on their own in a more real way. So at this point, I don't want you to take on a role as a practitioner in your mind, because again, you could damage them and stuff. So even though you're leading them, you're really allowing them to lead themselves, and you're just being support for them. I want you guys to choose at least 2 different people to find time with, to get together and do shamanic journeying and soul retrieval. You guys will discuss who's going to be the journeyer, who's going to be the receiver of this energy. And just really remember that this is you guys practicing, but the way that you can practice in a safe way is understanding that even though you're working with someone else, that you are ultimately the guide. So basically it is you guys doing soul retrieval on yourself, but you're allowing one of the group members to come in as a support, and they can guide you and they can lead you. But the most important thing for this exercise and this homework is, again, to make sure that it's you guiding yourself through this soul retrieval. Because I feel like that is the best way to make sure that somebody doesn't overstep someone's boundaries, etc. Things can turn messy that way. So I want you guys to remember that as much as you are making, you're finding at least 2 partners for this exercise. You can find, obviously you can find more partners if you want to, and you guys will agree how much time you're going to spend. I want you guys to agree how much time you're going to spend, who's going to be the receiver, who's going to be the giver, and you are both acknowledging that even though they are showing up as support, that you are ultimately guiding yourself in this soul retrieval. And I think that for the time being, that is the safest way to go about this, is just remembering that they're only being there as a support, as a catalyst, but you are the one in control. So remember that you are the one in control ultimately. And for this scenario, I want the practitioner, the person who is allowing the journeying and the support to happen, to remember that even though they're there as a support, and even though you have heard this process and you maybe have had it done with me before, that you are honoring the fact that you are not yet a practitioner and that this person is guiding themselves. So even though you're there as support, even though you can guide them through the process, both practitioner and the person who is journeying are honoring that the journeyer is ultimately in control of this experience in any way that they need to be in control of it. So that is the homework. You guys have had 2 really epic homeworks for this one. So the manifestation homework, going back into the memories on your own. So this is basically doing shamanic journeying on your own to rewrite the stories about what you used to tell what you've told yourself, or what you've learned over your life, whether it's your relationships, whether it's money, whether it's how you see yourself, your relationship with self-love. So it's shamanic journeying, rewriting it mentally and emotionally. And then the second part of the homework is to team up with some people. So that is the end of our session. So I'm just gonna allow people to, I guess, ask questions and say goodbye and stuff. But if you're asking me a question, just give me 2 seconds, because my mic has been off this entire time. So I have to turn it on so I can actually hear you guys. Just give me 2 seconds. You guys can like unmute and say goodbye and stuff, or like just like talk to each other for 2 seconds. And I'm just gonna prepare myself to open up for some last minute questions for you guys.
Wow. That was a really cool, there's a massive lot of information this time, wasn't it? Eh? My mind's like blown. I was like, wow. I was just taking notes for, I think, for about an hour and a half. But really enjoyed it anyway. Really good. Yeah. Wow.
So what I would be interested in, if you want to talk to that, you said you switched from CP to shamanic soul retrieval at some point. Did this come from a specific tradition, or is it more universal, or do you know anything about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, for me, this came specifically from, I hadn't found a completion process practitioner that I felt really safe with. So the first couple of practitioners that I hired to give a session to me with, I didn't feel really absolutely 100% safe with them. I didn't feel like they really got me in the way that I needed them to get me. I did have a completion process practitioner who I did feel really safe with and who did really get me, but the problem is she had medical issues, and so she dropped me as a client. So at that point, I was like, okay, so I finally found the practitioner that works for me, and she dropped me as a client. So it was kind of like that was like led me to find different ways. And what came to me is I was like, okay, I want to work with someone who does something similar. I set that intention, and I just randomly came in contact for the first time with my shaman that I've been working with. And so she did soul retrieval, and I knew that she was into the same like emotional integration and stuff, so I was open to it. And so I just started doing emotional processing and soul retrieval with her, and that's how I changed processes. It wasn't specifically that I thought one was better than the other. Specifically, now that I've been working with soul retrieval for a while, I do feel like for me it feels better, but it wasn't like there was anything wrong with CP. It wasn't like, oh, this is like not like an awesome process. It was just like the practitioner kind of came to me, so that's how it happened for me. And I was working with my shaman for like a couple of years before she ever trained me one-on-one to be a shaman myself. So I was working with her for quite a while.
Can I follow up on this?
Yeah, go for it.
So what I basically meant was, does this come from a specific shamanic tradition, or is it very universal in shamanism?
So
do
this
you
is
know anything about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I was saying at the beginning of this, that it did start as an ancient shamanic tradition that is very much altered from the state of soul retrieval that I'm teaching you now. You know, shamanism is always changing since it is so ancient and old. So yes, it was not the same idea at all when it first started out. I feel like practitioners that were more in alignment and more closer to Kriya's consciousness evolved this idea of soul retrieval. So it is universal. Soul retrieval is universal, but I think that basically like shamans that have like a more ancient idea of this practice, or that have not, like, basically there's different versions of soul retrieval out there. So I'm teaching you a very in alignment Christ consciousness version, but there are people who say like, oh, I do soul retrieval, and they're not doing the same thing at all as I am. So definitely be careful there. Did that answer your question, Gabriel, or was I clear on that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So is there anyone else that has questions for me before we go? I wanna keep this chat sort of short for this time around, but I do want to honor anyone who has questions and honor everybody's voice here. So is there anyone specifically that wants to unmute themselves and speak up? Okay, no one's speaking up. No one. All right, cool. So if everybody just wants to unmute yourself and you can say how you're doing, you can say goodbye, whatever it is that you want to say. I'm just leaving this open mic as much as possible. I think actually we'll do what we did last time. This feels more in alignment because some people have trouble speaking up on their own. I'm gonna ask each and every one of you to have your own chance to hold the feather and speak. So it's open mic, but I'm just gonna call on a couple of people to voice themselves and see if they'll be led to it if I call on them. So Angelica, do you have anything to say, sweetie? You're just the first cam that I see, so.
No, I'm good. I think it was an awesome meeting. You gave a lot of great information, and I was right there with you, and I loved it.
And you were partying the whole time. I saw you. Like, seriously, you're keeping my energy up. I was like, yeah, let's get into the groove. Angelica's in the mood right now. Like, tell ya.
Definitely.
So thank you for inspiring us. I feel like that energy is so inspiring. I feel like it's so inspiring, and it especially like when I'm talking about like stuff that can feel like boring or dreary, and you're like there like partying, like it keeps the energy pumped up. So hell yes. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Angelica.
Of course, of course.
So Chris, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, just thanks for the meeting. Felt really good, like Angelica just said, tons of information. So yeah, I was writing down a lot and taking in a lot.
Yeah, you were writing the whole time. I saw you. I was like, yes.
And I liked, there was a few bits where I'm starting to feel like I'm sort of getting on, like either in alignment or getting on the same page, because recently I've sort of been trying to get in touch with like the inner child, and I do, like you were saying, not worrying about what other people think of you, and that's something that I've really sort of, that's happening with me at the moment, kind of thing. I do a lot of talking to myself when I'm out and about, or if I feel like running or acting silly or laughing out loud or just joking with myself or whatever. I'll do that in public quite a bit now. When you mentioned water earlier, that kind of got me thinking, because I actually had just to sort of wake myself up before the meeting, I had a shower, but then for about the last 2 minutes, I just showered in cold water. It's something I do a lot, because it sort of just raises my awareness.
Hell yes.
That's really good. So yeah, just I'm starting to sort of like really feel a lot of the benefits and the changes that have happened since I've been on the program. I noticed like a lot of the depression and the downtime, as I call it, is getting less. But I still do get like moments where
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
can't speak up. I do get that still quite a lot, where I can be like 2-3 days where I'm just naturally high as a kite, and then suddenly it will just drop, and then I'm like, oh, I don't want to do anything today. But I can kind of, I'm learning to snap myself out of it, kind of thing. When you were doing the other session, the other meeting the other day, where it was all about the shamanism one, I was sort of, I can use dance and movement and a little bit of chanting and things, so I can, when I'm thinking, oh, I really don't want to do this right now, when I've been looking forward to it all day, but then I'm like, no, I'm too tired now and I'm not in the mood, I'm not feeling it, I can kind of pull myself back into feeling good and taking in information again. So yeah, I still feel a little bit like I'm lagging a little bit behind with some of the stuff. Like the last hour of today, I was kind of losing you a bit.
That's
But
fine, yeah.
up to that point, I felt like I was keeping up, and I was learning, and so I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to sort of get or understand later on, kind of thing.
So what I feel like saying in response to everything you said just now, Chris, is I honor your experience exactly where it is, exactly where it needs to be. That's exactly what I'm called to say to you right now, is that your experience is amazing for you exactly as you need it to be. And I like also this idea that you're behind and stuff. I just want to remind you that you are exactly where you need to be, and nobody is really ahead of you or behind you. Because I mean, like, even if you think like, oh, someone understands emotions more than me, like, well, maybe you understand things that they don't understand, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and I'm trying not, if I think like towards the end of that, what you were saying earlier, and it's like, oh, I don't fully really get that, but I'll listen to it again and see if I do. But I am also getting better at sort of saying, oh, well, if I don't get it, I don't get it, you know. I will get it eventually, or so I'm accepting things more so than I was previously. Yeah. So yeah, and just lovely to see everybody, and yeah, I've enjoyed tonight. Yeah. So thanks everyone. Really happy.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Cool.
Astrid, sweetheart, if you want to say anything or just whatever is going on with you.
I'm good. It was an amazing session, so much information, and it feels so confirming. It's like I feel like the whole last week has just been this huge clarity week. It's like I really try to see many things much more clearly, like really practically, like exactly I understand what I need to do. So it feels really good. So yeah, I'm really
That's
looking
so
forward
sweet,
to
Anna.
doing the homework. So
I saw you perking right up when we started talking about soul retrieval, so that made me really happy. You were very involved, which makes me happy. Obviously, when I'm speaking about something, to see that you guys are involved, so that made me really happy. Is what I wanted to say. Thank you so much for speaking and sharing. Gabriel, you're next on my cam list.
Oh, I get to talk again. I also talk so much during the thing, and I really value soul retrieval so much, and well, you know, I've enjoyed it tremendously, and so this was super exciting for me, like learning more about this and um, like getting more in touch with the process and getting all these informations. And I have a bunch of stuff already ready to write down for the discussion. And
Awesome.
also, I just feel called to like point over there because it's new and I'm so in love with this. And
Oh, which one is it?
and it has such a powerful energy. It's the time wielder, it's called. It's frequency painting that helps you like with all sorts of time manipulation things or time related things.
So, if you guys are wondering, me and Gabriel both share a very deep interest for Teal Swan's frequency paintings. So,
Hello?
Oh, yeah, love the painting. Awesome. I love all Teal's artworks. Fabulous. I think it's brilliant.
We lost Ashen, I think.
Probably her computer ran down without the battery. No, we still have the picture.
I think we need to send her an extension cord someday.
Oh no.
Well,
She coming back? No.
Marina's housed. So let's give her a few seconds to reappear.
Yeah. Did you have anything you wanted to say, Agaya?
hi. Yeah, I thought I was going to say something. Yeah, it was a lot of information, and many things were so right on with the things she mentioned about the time we are in now. That I don't know if you have it sometimes about if you feel negative. I cannot take it serious from myself, but I do feel negative sometimes. But then I not take it serious. But sometimes in the morning, a lot of time, I'm not all in a good mood, but I'm actually really verbally also talking about it in myself. And at one point, I just thought it's because of the whole world is in this vibe. That's why I'm also feeling it. And by expressing it, I make it less serious. And it was exactly what she was talking about, that by expressing or feeling it, we can jump to the other side. And I felt because she was talking about it, it will be more visible and to feel it more possible, to feel it more for me next time when it happens, or maybe next time I don't need to be so grumpy and
Oh yeah.
yeah, about the trees being cut, about the people who decide to, they are all doing their thing. I'm also doing my thing, and sometimes you just not have to take it so serious. And so that was helping me. And I also remember Ashen being so totally on when I did this soul retrieval with her, and she'd be so careful and so protecting the space, and that I also recognized she did that now again in telling us how to treat each other. And I really look forward to maybe find a few of you guys to practice with. I find it an amazing tool, and it has helped me quite a lot the time I did this with her once. Yeah,
Yeah.
and good to see you all.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing that stood out to me was the blame thing, blaming the government. I'm seriously really guilty of that. I've
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
stop
guilty,
that.
me too. You too.
Yeah, I think it's just something I grew up with, and because of the way my mum and dad were, like, because of their situation, it was just passed on to me. So it's like just something I have, but I'm working and I'm starting to enjoy working on it, which is the main thing. So getting a lot happier. But yeah, the whole state of the world thing is like one of the biggest challenges, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, that's challenging for me too sometimes, and I feel it's getting better, but I still get very upset from time to time. Still, but what was important for me, it was like there's always somewhere a mirror, so it may help to find that own mini government in yourself, which is a mirror to that one, and work with this. So it's always better to get upset with something you actually can interact with and do something about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, there's a message from Ashen, I think. Oh.
Ah, yes, she's in chat.
Oh. Oh yeah, one of the devices died. Whoops. Oh. Oh well, I've lost everybody, but I can't see anyone, but I think I can hear you. So thanks everybody, and goodbye if you can hear me.
Yeah, goodbye everyone. Have a nice evening.
Bye.
Bye everyone. Take care. Best wishes. Lots of love.